Hello everyone, this is Varun Sharma and this is my channel En route IAS. You can subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more videos that will help you out to prepare for your IAS 2018-19. And this website is enrouteias.com. So kindly subscribe to my channel Enroute IAS and like my videos. So today we will discuss how to read the Hindu newspaper. We have seen in the recent past that the students waste a lot of time in reading the Hindu. But what happens is that they are left with lesser time and lesser energy to give to other subjects which are equally important as the Hindu. Now, before coming forward, let us discuss some important points. The first point is that give 145 minutes to 1 hour to the newspaper. Do not exceed this time and try to keep it in this time only. Secondly, devote another 30 to 40 minutes in reading the articles or the study material which is related to the newspaper. This is very important. For example, these days you have a news on NRC. So with NRC you will have some lines where it will be written about the Citizenship Act. Just go back to your polity book, just read about the Citizenship Act in detail, because has been this news has been in current affairs. So this might be asked in the exam and it might be asked in details, because UPSC usually does not ask direct questions. It asks the questions which are related to the main topic that is given in the newspaper. So be prepared for that. Secondly, another important thing is that if there is any country which is coming again and again in the news, just try to go through the atlas and see all the physical features that are along the country. This is meant for the prelims exam. The second thing that is very important is any kind of place that comes in the exam that has to be written at one place. So in this way you will keep on knowing about the countries that are being repeated again and again. So if any country is repeated more than 4 to 5 times in news in the recent past, then just try to read a lot of things about that country, maybe the geography part. Secondly, the news due to which that country was in current news. Read about that news also, and read it about that news in detail. The third important thing is that sometimes in the newspaper the rankings are given. For example, the ranking of ease of doing business, then competitive index report, then you have human development index report. Just just write down all these rankings at one place. And also one more thing is important, that note down the parameters on which this ranking is given, because in recent past it has been seen that UPSC has asked about the parameters and not about the rank. So be very thorough with the rankings also. The next important thing is that all the schemes that are asked or that are there in the newspaper, just make a note of them and read about them in the additional time that is given to you, that is the 30-40 minutes, and make notes of them. The schemes might have been launched 3 to 4 years back, but they might have some kind of outcome now. So it is very important that you go through the scheme in detail and you have to read everything about that news. For example, if today there is a news on the scheme of Mudra Yojana, then you have to read everything about Mudra Yojana, irrespective of the fact that it had been launched 3 to 4 years back. But since it is in news, then they can ask you anything about Mudra Yojana. So any scheme that is of recent past, that is around 2 to 3 years, read it in details. And the schemes which are being launched now, they have to be read very thoroughly. Keep yourself very up to date, because a lot of questions on schemes are being asked these days, and the questions ask very minute details. They won't ask you the broader terms, they'll ask you very minute details. So read it very minutely, because in one of the questions I saw that it was asked that is the scheme applicable to citizens of India, but they had not clearly mentioned about the citizens that were overseas, that is NRIs. So you have to be very thorough that if the scheme is applicable only to the citizens who are residing in India or the NRIs also. So this is the kind of details that UPSC asks for. So be very thorough with your topics. Now let us directly come to the newspaper. So the picture of newspaper that you see over here is exact replica of the newspaper that you get in a hard copy, or for that matter the e-edition of the newspaper. So this first picture shows you the half of the newspaper of the newspaper's front page, because the whole paper was not fitting in one page. So I have divided into two parts. The second part, that is the lower half, will be taken in the next slide. So when you come and you have a look at this newspaper, just for the front page, go through all the headings and decide whether you want to go through the articles in detail or not. So we'll do that. So first of all, the first heading shows the set procedure to vet NRC claims. NRC has been in news a lot, and the second important thing is that NRC is related to the whole country. So this is a very important news. So you need to go through this article in detail. When you go through this article, so this newspaper is for 1st August. You can download this newspaper of 1st August or maybe get a hard copy of this newspaper and read it. So when you will go through this article, you will find that it's written over here about Citizenship Act. Now the Citizenship Act is related to the polity section of UPSC syllabus. So just go through your book Lakshmikant, go back to it, read about the Citizenship Act and read it in detail, because since this is in news, then any question from Citizenship Act can be asked by the UPSC. The second news over here is states told to count Rohingyas. So Rohingyas, question on Rohingyas has already been asked couple of years back, so a direct question on Rohingyas is not expected. But I have given you this example over here that any such headlines which focuses on a particular sect of people which are important and coming on front page, you have to read about those sect and read about that article in detail. You should know about Rohingyas. For that matter, if there is a news on Kurds of Syria, you should know who are the Kurds, where are they located. So such kind of news are very important. The next news is on the left side, Yamuna flows above the danger mark in Delhi. This news is not important. This is a regional news. Need not read this article. The second is cops rescue 18 women from South Delhi. You do not need to read such kind of articles. UPSC will not ask you questions on crimes which are isolated to a regional level. If any question on crime comes, that will be a question which will be related to the whole country, not a crime which is related to a regional level. Next is the Malia case. India told to submit a video of jail. This is a news which is focused on a single person. UPSC has a tendency that it doesn't ask questions related to such cases where there are criminal acts or maybe some kind of fraud involved in it. Because UPSC has a tendency to refrain from the negative news, UPSC won't ask you questions on political sentiments, political news, or for that matter, any kind of religious sentiments also, they are not asked by UPSC. Now coming to the lower half of the front page. Over here you can see center is pulling out of the FRDI bill. So FRDI bill is basically Financial Resolution and Deposit Insurance Bill. So this bill is usually in news and a lot of times it comes in the newspapers. This is a very important bill and related to the polity section. Just Google it out and read about the bill, because any question can be asked about this bill. The second news given over here is 11 women missing from shelter home. Again, this is a regional news and a news on regional crime, so this won't be asked. The next news is temple purified in UP after visit in Dalit women. So this is again a news which is focused on religious sentiments and also a regional news. You not need to read it. The next news is Kolkata through the mist of time. So this is an article which shows something, which gives something about the Kolkata's past. Chances are very rare that anything will be asked from this kind of article, so you can skip that article. So next is Karunanidhi needs extended hospital stay. Rahul pays visit. So this article is also focused on an individual and is a political news also along with that, because this person is related to politics. But since it is a news in focus on an individual, so question won't be asked on this topic. So you can avoid this article also. So we have completed the front page of the newspaper. The second page had all advertisements and the local recruitment news. So I have skipped that page because there was nothing to read in that page. You can skip that page for that matter. Now coming to the page number 3. So this is a regional, this is a page which gives regional news. So you have to go through this news, but just try to skim it. Only the important topics need to be read. So the first topic is AAP leadership dictatorial attitude vindicated. So this is a political news. This won't be asked in exam. You can skip this article. The second news is man booked for posting offensive photo of CM. This again can be skipped. Woman's body brought back from Pakistan via road route. Again, news focused on an individual. Won't be asked. You can skip it. Amrinder assures review of policy. Again, this will not be asked because this is a policy which is focused towards a particular region, that is Punjab. Chances are very less that this will be asked. This page 3 was focused on the northern part of India, and chances are very less that any questions from these articles will be asked. The important article over here is, this is the second half of the newspaper. So the important article over here is Rajasthan first state to implement the biofuel policy. So biofuel is a very important topic of ecology and environment, and this can definitely be asked in the exam. So when you go to the ecology syllabus, you will find that any kind of question, you will find some topics related to biofuel also over there. So you need to read this article in detail. You should know what is biofuel, what is biodiesel. Already a question has been asked a couple of years back from this topic. Again, this can be asked. So be very particular about any question coming from ecology or biology. Be very particular about that thing. The second article over here is Amanda shows a review of policy. This is not important. This is a regional news. Need not read this news. The second thing is students union polls in 2 months. So this is again a regional news. Do not read it. Now coming to page number 5. This again focuses on South. So here again you will find over here there are some regional news which are not important. BJP to adopt twin strategy in Kerala. This is not important. It's a political news. Over here the important news over here is inflow into Idukki Dam slows down. So you should know where is Idukki Dam, because UPSC has a tendency to ask maybe one question in 2 years or maybe two questions in 2 years on on dams or rivers. So you should know at least the location of the dam or the river. Just read where is Idukki Dam located, on which river is it located. That's it. Do not go into details of this news, that why was the flow slowed down or other news related to this kind of article. CS seeks development of North Karnataka. Again, this news is not important. This is a political news or maybe a religious news, so you do not need to go through this article. Tribal women ordeals leads to miscarriage. Again, a news related to a individual, need not go through it. Supreme Court clarifies on religious denomination. Again, this article is not very important. Such kind of article where a clarification is given, and maybe a, if had it been a very important news, this would have gone to the front page, not on the 5th page. Since it's given on the 5th page and related to a regional level, so it is not very important. You can skip this article again. Basically news which are related to what you call individuals, so you need not read any article in this section. If you find any article related to maybe ecology or environment, then you need to go through it. Ecology, for that matter, if there is something given about migratory birds, if something is given about migratory animals, or for that matter if something is given about any new species found in that part, that kind of thing you need to read. But news related to politics, individuals, religious sentiments, etc., you can skip all those news. When we come to next page, you can see over here reservation cannot be given in a hurry. Again, this is the regional section. You can skip everything over here, because here you can see the first headline is reservation cannot be given in a hurry. Again, a political news. Then will CBI be able to crack shelter the crack the shelter home case? Again, a crime which is related to a regional level. So all these news can be skipped. Over here, an important news given on the left side in a small letters, that is Ayushman Bharat to be implemented via CSCs. So Ayushman Bharat is a scheme. So be very particular that you read everything about and anything given about schemes in the newspaper. So just if you don't have enough what you call coverage on this news over here in the newspaper, go to the internet and Google out this scheme and read everything about this scheme. Be very up to date with this kind of schemes. Now coming to the next page, again there is a news which is written on Ganga projects. So Namami Gange was in news in recent past. and this is an important project which is being discussed in news recently. So you need to read this article in detail. The second important thing over here is Namami Gange, which is written over here. So when you come across such kind of program which is around 20,000 crores worth, then this must be a very important project for India. So just go through this Namami Gange thing, and you should know about everything about Namami Gange. I am just giving this as an example. There might be some other projects also which might come in the news, so you should be up to date with this kind of projects which are important nationally. The other news over here is tender for fighting fighter jets by mid 2019. This is not very important news, and this will not be asked in exam, so you can skip this thing because this is just a news related to a tender, so you can skip it. But recently a question was asked on on about a submarine whose documents were leaked in France. So such kind of questions can come in the exam which are related to a particular scam, or maybe for that matter particular kind of leak, and also related to a very important deal of India. For example, there's a deal on Rafale fighters. So they can ask you from which country are we procuring the Rafale fighters. So any specific news related to army, or maybe air force or navy, and having material which is procured from other countries, so you need to read those kind of news. But this kind of news which is general tender for fighter jets, you can skip such kind of news. Now this comes there, the most important part of the newspaper, that is the editorial part. So when you come to this part, be very careful what you are reading and read it very thoroughly. So you can see over here, the first important news over here is a Sri Krishna report on data protection misinterprets the Supreme Court right to privacy judgment. So when you see this headline and you go through this article, you will find over here that it says something about privacy. Privacy is also given in our constitution also. So just go to the Lakshmikant, go back to the Lakshmikant and try to find out as to in which article this privacy part is given. So you should be very thorough, and you should make parallels with the constitution also in the Lakshmikant, and also the articles that are given here. So be very thorough with this article. The second article which is very important is again the NRC article. So as you can see, it came in the front page also, it is in the editorial also. So you need to read these articles in detail. Also try to make opinions about these news, because you should have your own opinion, because this will help you out in your mains exam. So for example, over here it's written the Supreme Court's right to privacy judgment. So you should have an opinion on whether right to privacy is important or country's security is more important. So these kind of opinions you should make. You should try to make your own notes regarding the pros and cons of a thing, because this will help you out in your essay also. Question will be directly asked in the mains exam also. So you need to be very careful as to what kind of opinion you are making, and if you are making an opinion, you should have facts and figures which are usually given in these editorials. You just make notes of them. So this is a very important part of the newspaper. Now coming to the lower half of the editorial page. So over here on the left side you will see an article towards war's end. So over here when you go through this article, you will find out something about the Assad regime, the Kurdish rebels. So you should know where are these Kurds located, and why was this war going on. You should have a thorough knowledge about such kind of topics, because this is a topic which keeps on repeating again and again. The next is letters to the editor. You can skip that part, you do not need to read that part. The next article which is given over here is the public private gap in healthcare. You need to go through this article also. For example, over here there is a news on news on what you call, there is a focus on Niti Ayog document 3 years action agenda. So you should know what is action agenda of Niti Ayog. So any news related to this thing or any article related to this should be read in detail. because this can definitely be asked in the exam. The second thing that has been given in this article is the Ayushman Bharat Health Scheme. We have already discussed it previously that this is a very important scheme, and any scheme which is important at the national level has to be read in detail. Go through the internet and read everything about Ayushman Bharat health scheme, and any kind of news that comes in future, you should also make notes of that news also. So you should be very updated with the schemes that have been launched recently. Now coming to the next page of the editorial. In the next page, you will find that India should not depend on other countries. So this is an opinion which is given by a person about whether India should depend on other countries or not on the foreign policy of India. So you have to go through this article. Just go very fast through this article, because these kind of articles are not very important, because here some questions have been put to this person and he's just answering them. So this is basically more of a question and answer kind of an article. You can just skim it and just read it very fast, and if you come across any important term, then now coming to the lower half of the editorial page. So over here you can see that most of the news are either political based or they are opinions of some people. So you can just avoid these news, and as they are not very important. So the important thing over here is the data point. So over here you can see on the right hand lower corner that something about agriculture commodities and the data about last 4 years have been given. Just go through this data, and if you find something which is very important and related to geography, then you can note down these statistical figures, because they might help you in the exam. The next page is about the parliamentary proceedings and the political news. So mostly nothing will be asked from this section, so you can avoid this page totally. Coming to the next page, again you have news on NRC. So just read about NRC, the other things can be skipped. Coming to the next page, this is world news. So over here in the world news, only the news which is very important and has some kind of significance need to be read. For example, if Imran's party seeks MQM support, this is a political news of Pakistan, you can avoid it. Trump slams coach brothers. Again, this is a news which is focused on an individual, you can again leave it. IMF should not help pay of Pakistan Chinese lenders. Again, this is a news which is not very relevant. So usually any news which is not related to India and is not a very big news will not be asked by UPSC. Coming to the economics page, over here you can see core industries growth quickest to 6.7% in June. So this is a news which is about the whole country, that the core industrial growth has quickened to 6.7% in June. So you should know what is core industries, which all industries make up core industries. So this kind of questions can be asked in the exam. But what will not be asked is JLR drags Tata Motors to court, or for that matter any news related to quarter 1 of results of some company, be it Reliance, be it any big company, be it Tata. They won't ask you such kind of news. They'll ask you only news which are pertinent to the whole nation. So you not need to go through all these news. Next in Mauritius, SBM gets RBI approval for subsidiary. Again, this is a news which is not very relevant, so you can skip such kind of news which are focused on individuals or companies or maybe quarterly results, etc. Just go through these news where inflation figures are given, maybe monetary policy is given, maybe something related to FDI bill, etc. is given. All those kinds of questions will be asked. Such kind of questions related to individuals will not be asked, or individual companies will not be asked. The lower part of the economics page. So over here you can see center imposes 25% safeguard duty on import of solar cells. So this is a news which is pertinent to the whole country, and an important term over here is safeguard duty. So you should know what is a safeguard duty. You should know everything about safeguard duty, anti-dumping duty, and anything related to duties. So read about those things. Why are these duties imposed? You won't get this information in the newspaper. You have to go to Google and find out those kind of articles over there and read about these things over there. So now coming to the page number 15, 16 and 17, these are sports page. You can skip these sports page. You can cover them in the general knowledge website which you follow. Do not need to read them from the newspaper. Now coming to the page number 18. Page number 18 basically gives you science news, or for that matter, sometimes it gives you world news also. So over here, an important news over here is NBRC researchers decipher how Zika virus causes microcephaly. So two important thing over here is read everything about Zika virus, read about NBRC, where is it located. So these kind of question can definitely be asked in exam. The second important news is biggest penguin colony shrinks by 90%. So anything related to ecology, it can be asked in the exam. Even if it is not important, it can be asked in the exam. Recently, couple of years back, uh, the question was asked that recently a new species of banana ginger was found in which part of India. So it was basically Andaman. So even such kind of questions can be asked, which you think are not important, but UPSC can ask anything from ecology and environment. So if you get anything about ecology and environment, go through it very deeply. And for that matter, even for science and technology, if you get any science and technology article over here in the newspaper, go through it very thoroughly, because they can ask you anything. Recently a question was asked on the weight of the satellite that was launched by India. So go through those kind of figure also, read everything, make notes of everything. They can ask you anything in science and technology and ecology and environment. Now since we have gone through the newspaper, let us also, some of the topics were not covered in this newspaper, so I'll take you through these topics one by one. In geography, important countries coming the news on regular intervals, they have to be read. You have to read the physical features about that country, as to which river flows through it, main river flows through it, what all countries neighbor it, is it landlocked or not. For example, a question on Syria can be asked because it is in news recently. They can ask you which ocean is, or for that matter, which sea is nearest to Syria. So you need to know all those things. Secondly, names of rivers, or for that matter, names of mountains coming in the newspaper, they have to be read because they can ask you. But be very careful that normally they won't ask you news from the regional section of the newspaper. So focus more on the news coming in the front page, or for that matter in the last page, and the names of newspaper, what you call rivers, etc., coming on those parts will be asked by UPSC. Second is ecology and environment. Any new species found, any kind of disaster going on, any kind of NGT orders given, you have to be very thorough, because this can be asked in the exam, and this will definitely be asked in the exam. The next part is economics. Any news on government schemes, be very thorough. Any news on macroeconomic issues, be very thorough, such as change in base year of CPI. So what was the initial base year? How many articles make up the CPI? How many articles make up the wholesale index, etc.? So you need to know everything about that news in and out, because in economics mostly question based on current affairs will be asked. The second thing is any report such as World Economic Outlook, etc., which agency has published it, which any news on parameters of maybe competitive index, maybe development index, you should know all the parameters about that. So be very thorough with these topics in economics. In polity, if there is any article in news, any amendment in news, or for that matter any new law is being made, just go back to Lakshmikant or go back to the internet, read about the history of that article. You should be very thorough about that article. Science and technology, any new discovery, anything new, maybe anything related to cryogenic, anything related to nanomaterial, anything related to biology, anything related to medicine, you should be very thorough. They recently asked, can this what you call Zika virus spread disease through sex also? So even such kind of questions can be asked. So if you find any word, just read anything related to that word in the internet. Be very thorough with all these things. For culture and history, any award given and which is of national significance, usually they won't ask you Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, etc. So you can leave that part. But any other award given to any Indian abroad, you should know about those things. Why was that award given? Any new excavation site found? Best tableau on Independence Day. If it is given to any kind of dance or any kind of culture, you should know about all those news. So that's all for the n- newspaper. So if you have got any doubts, you can post it in the comment section of the video. I'll be more than happy to help you out. If you are having difficulty in following my news videos in English, I can definitely post them in Hindi. But you just put your requirement in the comment section. I will do my level best to cater to your needs and requirements. And if you want that I should discuss 2 or 3 more newspapers so that you will get a hang of as to how you need to read the newspaper, I'll do that also. But kindly subscribe to my channel en route IES. Also, if you need have any requirement, please do post your comments below the video itself. I'll definitely try to help you out. Thank you.